The MIDAS concept of navigation by groups has proved incredibly successful on Pro 3, Pro 6, Pro 9 and the flagship XL8 console. So we're now making that process accessible on a much more compact mixing console. To select a VCA, you merely hit the big select button. All of the members of that VCA then populate this area of the surface. If we have a VCA or population group which has more than 8 members, I can select that group and then extend the group onto the VCA faders. So now I have the population group for my support band, so I now have all of my support band channels on the surface. Put that group away again. All of the channels I need to deal with during the introduction of this song, which is a motley collection of various inputs, all of my effects returns, a couple of channels I might need to do a crossfade at some point during the show. So it's very, very easy to navigate a very small control surface and focus on exactly the channels which you need to deal with at any time. Above the VCA select buttons, we have the 6 population groups. Now, a population group has no audio function. It has no equivalent on an analog console. It's purely to create a group of inputs which you need to have on the surface for some purpose. For example, I've got a population group here labeled intro. This group contains all of the input channels I need to deal with when this song opens up. So I've got saxophone, 3 of the string section, a couple of keyboard channels and a reverb return. So for some reason when this song opens, those are the channels I need to deal with. All of the names, the colouring and the membership of the VCA and the population groups are scene specific. So within every scene, every snapshot of our show, the colouring, the naming and the memberships can change completely. So you can always have the channels that you need to deal with right at your fingertips. Any or all of the VCA or population groups can be set to deploy either on area A, which is the left-hand side of the console, or on area B, which by default is my left, right and mono masters. Now, once I've got the show up and running, I'm not going to use these faders very often at all. So let's do something more useful with them. I've got my Q crossfade here programmed to a population group, which I've set to deploy on area B, which is over here. So when I need to do my crossfade, I deploy the channels involved in the crossfade on these 2 faders, perform the crossfade, and then they can then go back to being the left and right masters. I can use the area B for things like putting my lead vocal on this fader. So this fader is now always going to be my lead vocal, so I always have my lead vocal to hand, regardless of what else I'm messing around with on the left-hand side of the console. So I can create groups of up to 3 channels, which can then be stuck on this end of the console, and if for some reason I need to get back to my left and right masters in a hurry, all I have to do is deselect that group and I get the master faders back again.